Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here, and today I'm back on some Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm going to be showing you my absolute favorite build in the entire game. This is the Netrunner, which I'm actually using tech weapons with this, just so I can actually do some crazy damage with my weapons as well. So I'm going to call this the Tech Runner. But this is absolutely my favorite build in the game, just because what this build does is that it allows you to take out giant groups of enemies super quickly. I don't think there's any build that can take out enemies this quick. I just don't. And on top of that, the enemies have no idea what's happening to them. They just don't know. And it's so funny to watch that. This is absolutely overpowered. There is no doubt. Now, there are other builds that can hit for like millions of damage. That's great. But the thing is that that's total overkill. You just do not need to hit that hard. That's just the reality of it. If you hit the enemy for like over 10,000, most of the time they're going to go down. And by the way, all the gameplay you're watching here is on very hard difficulty. Not that that matters, because once you hit the end game, like, very hard is a complete joke. But still, like, the thing is that this just one-shots everybody. And it is consistent, like, it can hit for well over 10,000 damage, and that's all you need. When you're fighting bosses or cyber psychos, things like that, yes, you're going to need to hit them harder, but we actually have that covered. That's not a problem, because we're using tech weapons. And in particular, I'm really just using one. And the one I'm using is just fantastic. And I mean, as you can see just from the gameplay, because I'm going to give you a really good preview here of what this build can do with the net running abilities and the quick hacking. And that's just against like enemies through walls. You know, you can literally sit outside of a building, taking out everybody in the building for your objective. So that is crazy. And they just don't know what's going on. It's complete stealth. So, I mean, it is crazy. And if I need to shoot, because I'm using tech weapons, I can shoot enemies through walls, which is a really cool thing, because I thought, like, what weapon do I want to use for this? And to be honest with you, for this type of build, this is an intelligence build. You can really use whatever weapon you want. If you want to use a rifle, you can do that. If you want to use a handgun and maybe like a silencer, you can do that. If you want to use melee, you can do that. It's just up to you. And in my case, I went for technical ability just because I wanted to use tech weapons and I wanted to be able to craft as well. And I do not regret it. I really do think that the tech weapons are absolutely fantastic. But, I mean, if you're watching this, like I said, I just don't think there's any build in the game that can absolutely take out the enemies this quickly. I just don't. And that's just because of the massive AoE. Now, this is going to be a cyber psycho, and what's great, I can go ahead and ping and see him through the wall, and then just blow his head off with my tech weapon. One shot, because everything is so unbalanced, and it absolutely destroys. And here is a second cyber psycho, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to ping so I can see him through the wall, and then boom, just take him out one shot. And this is going to be the only example I'm going to show here, but I'm going to actually show you like me using the tech weapon, because what's really great, the great synergy with this build with tech weapons is that we're using ping. So with the ping, we're able to go ahead and see everybody through the walls and highlight them, and then just get behind some cover, behind a wall, and start blasting them with your tech weapon if you want to shoot. You don't need to shoot with this build, but if you want to shoot enemies, you can, and I love this weapon. This weapon is great. This is the Widowmaker. This weapon is so amazing. Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for the gameplay. Now, let's actually talk about everything you need to know about this build in great details, breaking down everything from the skills, to the cyberware, to the equipment, just everything you want to know. Now, the first thing I want to say is I will be adding timestamps to the description, and I will pin a comment. That way, if the video is long and you want to skip around, you can go ahead and do that. Now, we're going to talk about my attributes and my perks, because obviously that's really important. But one thing I will say, if you're just starting off and you want to make a build like this, an intelligence build, get your intelligence up to 20 first. This is your number one priority, and that's actually for several reasons, but one of the main reasons is that you want to go ahead and put some points into your crafting spec perks. This is super important. You want to get legendary quick hacks as soon as possible. Now, to be honest with you, you really don't need this one, because this is for uncommon quick hacks. And the thing is that you can go to like the merchants who sell quick hacks and just buy like uncommon ones. And then you can turn them into rares by crafting, turn them into epics, and then finally turn them into legendaries. And guess what? At that point, you're done. You never need to worry about crafting quick hacks again. So if you end up respeccing you can go ahead and just get rid of these perks. They're kind of a waste of a perk. Now, another thing I want to mention is Anamnesis. Now, the thing is that this is broken. Does not work right now. If you're watching this in the future, maybe this does work. And if it does work, it might be pretty good, to be honest, and you might want to actually get it. But right now, it's actually busted. You can exploit this. So if you actually grab this early on, you can go ahead and max it out. Then what you can do, and I have a video, I'll leave a link in the description, is that this can give you unlimited RAM. And if you do this one exploit, you can max out your quick hacking and breach protocol skill progression. You can max it out so fast. And by the way, that makes a huge difference for your build. So if you can take advantage of this, take advantage of it and max out your quick hacking and breach protocol. And then, like I said, if you want to respec, you can do that and get rid of this perk because it's useless. Another kind of useless one is weak link. This is useless because it only affects devices. And to be honest with you, when it comes to devices, what you're mainly going to be doing is just turning them off. And it costs like 1 RAM to do that. And this one you could get if you want I Spy, but this basically is kind of useless too. I would avoid it. Now, the most important thing are things that affect spreading. So Plague, this is super important. You want to get this. Same with this one. You want to get this because it affects your spread. And you want to get anything that affects damage. So this is obviously really good. And there's another one, Daisy Chain. This is amazing. Like, this really helps with your cooldowns. And one of the most important ones, though, is Critical Error. This allows your quick hacks to crit. Now, that's going to be based off of your own personal stats. Like, your weapon stats will not play into it at all. Only your personal stats. But you are going to be able to absolutely just destroy everyone if you can make your quick hacks crit, which by the time that you get to, like, the end game, you're probably going to have almost 100%, if not 100%. Crit chance, and your crit damage is going to be very high, so you're going to be just one-shotting everybody with this. And another really important one is Subliminal Message. This will increase the damage of your quick hacks by 100% to unaware targets. Now, pretty much everybody's always unaware, just because if you're like crouched and you can hack guys through walls, they are unaware, and you are just doing crazy damage to them. This is really good. And I mean, everything else, just grab it because it's good, but I really don't even need to actually talk about it. Oh yeah, the level 21 though, this is nice. The 50% recovery rate for RAM is kind of insane. Like, once you get this, like the first time, you laugh on how amazing it is. Now, Breach Protocol, this is important, but not as important as quick hacking. But the most important thing here, like the thing you want to get early, is Mass Vulnerability, because this is absolutely the best malware that you can use. Now, the thing is that you only need to put 1 perk into any of these malwares, these daemons, because if you actually look, they have a 3-minute duration, and if you max them out, or you put another perk point into them, it ups it to 6 minutes. Honestly, 3 minutes is more than enough. 6 minutes is way overkill. And the thing is that there's actually a perk you can get, which will give you 100% more duration. So for me, they're actually 6 minutes already. If I was to upgrade these, they would be 12 minutes. That's just way too much time. Honestly, everything dies in like 30 seconds, so I do not need it to have that insane duration. Now, you also, of course, want to get the upgrades for Mass Vulnerability. These are really good. And see, one of the things about Breach Protocol is that when you first start the game, it's kind of annoying. Let's be honest, it is annoying, but the thing is that when you actually level up the skill, so you do the skill progression, and you actually put some points into it, Breach Protocol becomes super easy. Now, in every clip that you've seen in the beginning in the gameplay, I would always use my Breach Protocol first. Your priority is always trying to get Mass Vulnerability applied, but the thing is I always want to get at least 3 of my daemons applied, because there are perks that are going to affect my build if I can do that. And those perks last a long time. So let me give you an example of that. There's this one, which will give you 33% cooldown for all of your quick hacks. Combine this with Daisy Chain, and if you were actually paying attention, I could use Contagion, and then like a second later, I can use it again. That's because this is insane. So you definitely want to try to apply 3 of your malwares. And same with this. I mean, this isn't as good, but it still is like not bad, you know? Like, you get some benefits basically. Now, one thing you might notice as well is I actually do have like everything. I have Turret Tamer, I have Big Sleep, which I think this is bugged. Honestly, it works sometimes, and other times I feel like it doesn't work. I also have turret shutdown. You might be wondering, why do I have these? Well, it's because the more malware you have, or when you're doing the breach protocol, the longer your list, the more likely you are to get the 3 daemons uploaded. So it just makes it a lot easier. And this perk definitely helps you out for making it easier. And then this one just automatically applies Ice Pick every single time. And Ice Pick is great. It's going to reduce your RAM cost for all of your quick hacks. And it will really reduce it if you get the perks. And then this as well. I mean, basically you're always just spending 1 RAM after you do your breach protocol. And the level 21 here, not really needed, but I just grabbed it because why not? Now let's talk about our second priority, which is cool, and I'm going to start with Cold Blood. Now I know a lot of people are going to know about this, but I'm going to try to break it down. Basically, the way this works is that you will get a stack of Cold Blood whenever you defeat an enemy, and all your stacks will last for 10 seconds. Now this initial one can give you up to 3 stacks, and it will affect your movement speed. Now this perk, once you get this, you can increase the duration of Cold Blood by 10 seconds, so that means you can actually have the stacks for 20 seconds. There's also some perks you can get to increase your max stacks. So there's one here, and then there's one here. So you can get a grand total of 5 stacks, which is awesome. Now this is when things get pretty overpowered. Landing a crit hit has a 25% chance of applying a stack of Cold Blood. Now this is great because we're always getting crit hits, and we're going to be getting stacks of Cold Blood from that. And it's just going to make it so that we're going to get max stacks a lot quicker that way. This is also crazy because Cold Blood is mainly defensive, and whenever we reach 45% health, then we get all of our stacks of Cold Blood automatically. So this is going to save your life because Cold Blood is going to give you a lot of armor and just defense in general, and this will really save your life. And then finally, this makes it so that Cold Blood is almost pretty much infinite because the stacks are going to be removed one by one and not all at once. So you have 20-second duration per stack, and you have the 5 stacks. So this is crazy. Now, let's actually talk about this because you always have to remember you have 5 stacks, so you always basically have to make it 5. So the first one here is you can increase your armor by 20% per stack of Cold Blood, meaning you get 100% more armor. That is crazy. Now also, there's some for quick hacking that we're going to grab. This one gives you 6% per stack of Cold Blood, meaning that we get 30% cooldown for our quick hacking. Now remember, we already have Daisy Chain and we have Hackatron, and with those two, you were talking about 88% cooldown. With this, you're over 100%. So if you're wondering why is it that my contagion comes back instantly, well, that's the reason why. And also this will improve your upload time, and it's 2% per stack, so it's really 10%. I forgot to mention this, but this gives you headshot damage. It's just a passive. Grab it. It's great. Now, you can actually become immune to everything when Cold Blood is active. I know some people might say, well, there are cyberwares that can actually be beneficial. One can give you more damage while you're burning. Another one can heal you while you're poisoned. I don't care about that, honestly. I just don't. I'd rather just be immune to everything because I always have Cold Blood going, and this is great. And this just gives you 5% damage reduction against everything. And then once you get your Cold Blood to 20, you can get this perk, which is Merciless, and this makes it so that you can get 10% crit chance and 25% crit damage when Cold Blood is active. So this is really our only offensive thing we have, but it's still really good. Another thing to point out though is as you're doing the skill progression, there's some really good stuff here. You can get crit damage, you can get crit chance and armor. You can get a lot of great stuff from this. I mean, this is the big one right here, 10% crit chance. That's just a general stat. That is awesome. Now, when it comes to stealth, this is also important, mainly for one thing, and that is poison. What we're going to get from this is we can get this. This is I think maybe 18 cool, but this is going to double our poison damage. Now, that's really important because our main quick hack is contagion, and that's poison. So this is super, super good. And on top of it, we also have some other good perks like enemies who are poisoned or slowed. That's great. And enemies who are poisoned take 20% more damage. That's also really good. Now this is cheat death. This is going to make it so you just become really tanky when you're about to die. I mean, you're basically never going to die with this build. If you have your build set up properly, you're never going to die in this game. No matter what the difficulty is. It is insane. Now, this is just a good perk because you get 15% more damage against humans, and you fight basically all humans in the game. Now this one, normally I would say don't get this. If you were going for like a build where you're shooting enemies and you're sneaking, you wouldn't need this because you're gonna get 100% crit chance with weapons. That's just the way it is. But remember, our quick hacks are actually gonna be based off our general stats. Now my crit chance, my general crit chance is only 75%. So when I'm sneaking, it's 90%. Meaning that I do have a 10% chance of not critting. But once I get that first kill and I get cold blood going, remember, then I get the 10% from that, and I should have 100% from that point. So this is actually good when you are using your quick hacks. And also, increased movement speed while sneaking, very good. I had extra points, so I grabbed this. You don't need it at all, though. This is a sniper. You get increased headshot damage when you're not in combat. This is good. Your detection time is increased by 40%. I think it means to say decreased by 40%. But basically, this is just going to allow you to not be seen. And what's really good with that is hasty retreat. When you are seen, or you start to be seen, you get increased movement speed. That way you can just get out of dodge. And also, I'm using a green Cyberware, but it will slow down time when I am seen. That way I can just get out of dodge and I will not be seen. And I can just keep hacking my enemies with my quick hacks. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it when it comes to your stealth. I mean, the final perk, I don't have it yet. I will grab it eventually, though. It just makes it so that poison will last longer. I don't really think it's all that needed or necessary, but it is what it is. Now, let's go ahead and talk about technical ability because, I mean, let's start with the easy one, crafting. Basically, with crafting, I mainly went for the perks that will improve my damage with crafted weapons because everything I use is crafted. If it's an iconic that I made legendary, it's crafted, or if it is any other weapon, I generally will craft it. Now, my armor, not all of it has been crafted, so that is something. So I don't bother like getting those perks, but for this, I do want it just because I want the extra damage. Now, I know I mentioned this when it comes to quick hacking, but I decided to keep the Grease Monkey, and I also kept this one, the Edge Runner Artisan, because this allows me to craft legendary items and epic items. I don't see the point of crafting like rare items. Most of the iconic weapons that you pick up, for example, if you find them, are going to come like first in rare. So when you upgrade them, you're going to upgrade them to epic and then to legendary. Which, a little tip by the way, whenever you're playing, at least right now, because in the future they might patch this, but there is an item duplication glitch in the game right now. And what you can do is if you get like an iconic rare, you can actually just go ahead and dupe it like 10 times or something. And then if you're going to craft, you can craft 10 at once, for example. And if you don't get a good roll, you just load your save. So that's something you can do. I just wanted to point that out because that is kind of important. Like I said, I know I said when it comes to quick hacking, it's kind of a waste of perks. And it is also kind of a waste of perks here, but I just find it annoying. There's been a lot of times where I'm like, I want to craft something, and I'm like, I really don't want to go and respec so I can craft. But, you know, I just kind of keep the perks in there now. So that's crafting. Now let's talk about engineering, because engineering, I mean, this is the thing. It's really annoying to max out engineering. It just is. Either you have to run around throwing grenades to get experience, or you have to shoot enemies from behind walls, which isn't hard with this build. If you really want to like focus on engineering, you can just ping the enemies and then shoot them all through walls, and you're going to get a lot of experience for doing that. The thing is, I wish they would make it so when you're using smart weapons, or if you're using tech weapons and you're just getting kills, you're getting a little bit of experience. I think that would be better, because there's a lot of really good perks in here, mainly like charge time. There's a lot of really good perks. You get crit chance, you know, a lot of great stuff. So you do want to go ahead and like try to max this out if possible. And the final perk is also good. This gives you just general 25% more damage with tech weapons, and it will increase your charge damage by 10%. So, I mean, this stuff is great. But when it comes to the perks, I mean, this is kind of obvious, but superconductor, tech weapons will ignore, armor, crazy. Especially against bosses, you know, this is great. Also, this is good because when you charge it up, it's not going to automatically shoot. That's great. Also, we can get more damage for fully charging it up. Now, this one, I don't really understand this one, because if this worked the way that it like describes it, it would be insane. But it will increase the charge multiplier for tech weapons by 55%. Now, in reality, that's like 0.55. But when I see 55%, and let's say like my charge multiplier for my gun is 4, 55%, man, that would be crazy, right? But no, it's actually 0.55, so this one's a little bit weird. Maybe it's a mess up, I don't know. And this one will reduce the charge time. Really important, really good. I grabbed this just for the additional damage for ricochets. Honestly, I grabbed it because there's a sniper I'm also using. It's called the Breakthrough, which I'm going to talk about a little bit, but I never really use it. But that actually has the potential to ricochet, and I don't know if this perk would actually play into that or not, because this is mainly for the power weapons, so I don't know. I did grab this as well, Blade Runner, just to increase damage to drones and mechs and robots and all that type of stuff. And this up to 11, at first I didn't think that this would actually matter for like the tech weapons I'm using, but yes, it does. It does improve the damage of your tech weapon. Definitely grab this. And then finally, you have this, and that just reduces the charge time needed to penetrate walls. At first I didn't understand this because I was like, you know, every tech weapon that I know of can penetrate walls. Basically, what it means is that you don't have to fully charge your tech weapon to penetrate the wall. You can like partially charge it and then it will penetrate. So that's really awesome. But yeah, tech weapons are amazing, and a lot of those perks are just awesome. Now, when it comes to reflexes, now I went ahead and I got my assault up to 7, and I do grab some perks here because this will improve like my damage with my tech rifles, my precision rifle. One is when I aim down sights, I get 10% more damage. That's great. Just in general, I get 10% more damage. That's also really good. And then finally, enemies who are above 50% health, I do 25% more damage to them. So all of that plays into it. Remember, my precision tech rifle one-shots basically everybody. So yeah, all this stuff benefits me, and it's great. Now there's other perks you can also get. I mean, I'm not going to get them, but one would actually be, one I would probably say, is actually increase your carrying capacity. I would definitely tell you most of the time you want to grab this, but in my case, I never pick anything up. That's just the reality. I rarely pick anything up because I have exploited so much. And that is something I did want to mention. Right now, there are so many exploits you can do. It's insane. Infinite money, duplication glitches. If you're watching this in the future and all of that's been patched, the thing is, the intelligence build, I think, is absolutely one of the best builds for a legit playthrough. And one of the reasons why is because of Breach Protocol. You can get money. This is a great way of getting money. So, you know, that's great. And also, like, in general, everything you're seeing here in terms of, like, the damage of my quick hacks and, like, my tech weapons and all that, I don't think that would be affected that dramatically by them patching the game. Also, I mean, this build is, like, really easy to put together. I mean, all you gotta do is try to get your quick hacks to legendary, and then once you've done that, you pick a tech weapon, and then you get that to legendary, and honestly, you're kind of good to go from there. Like, you don't really need to worry about, like, crafting. If you have a really good weapon, and you have your quick hacks, you should be good for your entire playthrough. So this is a amazing build for a legit playthrough. Now, let's actually talk about the cyberware. This is super important because, well, we have to talk about the Cyberdeck. And this is in the operating system. Now, the one I'm using is NetWatch NetDriver Mark V. I really like this one a lot. And I do want to mention, I'm not going to point out like where to find all of this cyberware. But I do know there's like some pretty good articles, if you just Google it, that has like a list of like all of the legendary cyberware, and it will break it down. Like, so it's like in categories. It makes it really easy to navigate through the list. I would definitely recommend that if you need to know where some of this stuff is. But this particular one, and I do believe some of these frontal cortexes, like this crit damage one and this RAM one, I believe you get all of these from the Ripper Doctor in Pacifica. So if you want to know how to get these, that's the one I'll tell you, because I definitely know that. At least I'm pretty confident, like 99% sure. But the reason why I really like this is because of the passives. And the main one is increases quick hack spread distance by 60%. That is huge. And the other one I like is offensive quick hacks can be uploaded to 3 targets within 6 meter radius. Now that's really good, especially for Short Circuit. Short Circuit is awesome. It can hit really hard, a lot harder than Contagion. And it definitely hits really, really hard against any enemy that's mechanical. I've seen it hit for like 100,000, for example. But what's really nice is that when you use Short Circuit and you have this, If the enemies are close to each other, you can basically hit multiple enemies with it. It's really, really nice. Now, let's actually talk about the quick hacks. This is obviously important. And another thing too, these are the ones I would recommend. I mean, there's other ones you could use if you really want to. But when it comes to like making like your quick hacks legendary, right now, just make them all legendary. If you're exploiting, it's not hard. But if you're playing legit and you don't have that many components, just focus on the ones you definitely know you want to make legendary. And one that you have to is Contagion. This is so good. Just because this is your main spread and you use it, it poisons the enemy. It's non-lethal too, which is great. Now this is another exploit. They might patch this in the future. But if you knock enemies out with a non-lethal, you can then like go and kill the enemies. And if you do that, you can get double experience. So like this would be great if you were playing through the game legitly and you're knocking everybody out and then you're walking around and you're just killing all of them and you're getting double experience. You would level up a lot faster. So it's awesome. But this is your main quick hack that you're always using to take out the big bulk of all the enemies. It is insane. Now the other one that you definitely want to use is short circuit. So, sometimes if the enemy is mechanical, you can just use this in general because it's going to do a lot of damage. Also, sometimes, maybe this is on cooldown. You need to use this. But regardless, you definitely want to have short circuit equipped just because it is definitely the second best offensive quick hack in the game. Contagion just beats it out like by a mile though. And then of course, you gotta get ping. This just reveals all the enemies. I mean, it's great for the tech weapons if you want to shoot them through walls, but also it allows you to scan the enemies through walls and then also quick hack them through walls. You can be so far away from enemies, just taking them all out. They have no clue what's happening to them. They know something's up because they're all dying, but it is just funny, man. Like they just have no idea where you are. And it's all because of this. You gotta use that. And then here's the thing. I have system reset on. To be honest, you could probably replace this because I don't even know if this works. Because I use it for the passive. That's it, really. And what the passive does is it says defeating an enemy reduces the RAM cost of the next quick hack by 1, stacks up to 6 times. So, you use like Contagion, you kill 5 guys. It's going to reduce like your next quick hack by 5. But the thing is I have so many like ways of reducing RAM already that my quick hacks generally are always like 1 RAM is all it costs. So I don't really know if this is worth it or not, but I use it just because why not? Now these other ones here like Reboot Optics and also Weapon Glitch, if you're wondering why I have these on, I would recommend these. The reason why is because of the passives. This is going to add more malware to your breach protocol. And remember what I said, the more daemons you have, the easier it is to upload 3 at a time. It just becomes so easy. So an example is, let's say there's a camera in the area and maybe a turret, and then there's enemies. What you will see on your breach protocol is you'll see mass vulnerability, you'll see big sleep, that's the camera like shut down, you'll see turret tamer, you'll see turret shutdown, you'll see weapon glitch, you'll see reboot optics. Like, you'll have so many options that you'll 100% get the 3 malware uploaded. There's no doubt. Now, let's go into talk about everything else. First I'm going to talk about is the frontal cortex, and I mean, there's some really good stuff in here. But all of this you're going to see is all like tied to intelligence. And that's one of the good things about having intelligence is because some of the stuff you can equip is awesome, like this. 45% critical damage. And I'm pretty confident, I'm like 99% sure, that this is for your general stat. So this will apply to your quick hacks. That is amazing. Now this will increase your RAM by 5 units. This is up to you if you want to use it or not. I like having the extra RAM. And then finally, this is super important. You want to get that increased critical chance by 25%. That's huge, especially for your general stats. Now here's the thing. Whenever I'm like just standing around, I have a 75% general crit chance. And if I crouch and I get my sneaking perk to trigger, it's at 90%. And then if I get the kill and I get cold blood active with the final perk there, that's the other 10%. But that's kind of how it goes. So 25%, this is huge for your general stat. You definitely want that. Now for the actual eyeball, I am just stacking the headshot damage multiplier. This does stack, definitely do it. It's great. Now the only other one I would say you might want to use, and this is actually more for people who are not using an intelligence build, but you're using a tech weapon build, is threat detector, because there are no like silenced tech weapons. The moment like you shoot it, you're probably in combat and you're going to be detected by everybody, and this will highlight them for you so you can see them through the walls. And that's really nice with a tech weapon. So definitely, use this if you don't have ping, for example. But if you have like intelligence and ping and you're using that, that's all you need. Now let's talk about this. This is great. This is amazing. You need technical ability, I believe, for both of these. And the thing about this one is that this makes me almost invincible. Because if I am shooting my gun, if I'm fighting a boss or something, I am getting 10% of my health back each time I'm fully charging up the weapon and shooting it. That is crazy. This is amazing for Breach Protocol. It's only a green too. I don't think there's any other rarity of this, but 100% duration increase for Breach Protocol. That's awesome. This one, honestly, any of the ones that do damage to enemies, I'm not really sure on how good they are or not, but, I just have it because why not? It's legendary. I'm going to equip it. I believe this one requires intelligence, and I have no idea where you get it, but it's the same thing. You have a 10% chance of like doing a electrical like shock or something like that, and it seems to be pretty decent, so I definitely would say you should use it. And this one is good just because it reduces all damage by 10%. That's awesome. I've talked about this. Basically, whenever you're sneaking, you might get detected a little bit, and if you do, it will slow down time and you can basically back up. That's like the main purpose of it. It's really helpful. This is great. It allows you to basically do the infinite speed exploit. That's one thing. And also, if I want to get slowdown time, I can dodge to do it in combat. Pretty decent. Now, the shoulders, honestly, like 2 of these are useless for me. One is I get immunity to shock. Well, that's useless. I already have immunity to shock because of cold blood. Same with this one. This one basically makes you immune to burn. But it also allows you to do more damage when you're burning. But I'm immune to burn, so it's countering this. And to me, I'd rather be immune to everything. This is great. You definitely want this. 200 armor. Awesome. And when it comes to the skeleton, I like to have increased health, so I have the 20% increased health, and you don't really need any body to equip this. And you can actually put another one in here. To be honest, I don't really need the whole reduced recoil. I'm never really shooting. And another one you could use is actually increased carrying capacity. That would probably be a pretty decent one. I have the smart link in here. I was using smart weapons for a while, but I'm not using them anymore. But the other option, it's like for power weapons, I'm not using them either, so it's kind of whatever. And of course, I'm using the projectile launch system. Now, something I'm not 100% sure about, but you can put mods in these. And the mods you can put in can give you crit chance and crit damage. And I do think maybe they apply to your general stat. If they do, they're awesome. If not, it's really whatever. And then finally, I have double jump. Double jump, I definitely think is the best legs in the game, just because it's super useful. Really, really helpful for moving around. So now, let's actually talk about my weapons and my gear and all that. Now, first of all, I've already mentioned this, but this is the Widowmaker. This is absolutely my favorite tech weapon in the game, I think. I love this thing. It's a precision rifle. It uses assault rifle ammo, though. That's awesome. Now, the thing about this is the iconic version, and you can get this really early. You can get this from the very first quest that you do, main quest, but Pan Am. And basically, at the end of that quest, there's a guy named Nash, and then you can take him out, and then you can pick up his gun. It's the Widowmaker. And the thing is, what I would probably recommend to do, while you can, is any iconic gun that you think you might use, and you're going to upgrade through crafting, just go ahead and duplicate it. That way you have multiple copies of it. And you can always have a copy so that if you are actually crafting it and then you lose the weapon at that point, you can always craft it again. Because sometimes, you figure out oh man, I messed up with the crafting. And this is a weapon you can easily mess up. Tech weapons in general, you can mess up. You want to get charge multiplier. That's super, super important. Now, one of the beautiful things about this weapon is that this weapon is super good with poison. And our whole build, a lot of it is to do with poison. So this is so perfect. So, so perfect. Now, one of the things I try to go for with this is I try to go for a really low charge time. It's up to you if you want it or not, but you have a higher charge time and then you have a lower charge time. And generally, it's a give or take when it comes to your crafting. You have to give something up to get something. So I don't know what you have to give up for the lower charge time, but maybe it's headshot multiplier or something. You can get a little bit higher. But the thing is that what makes this weapon so great is that it fires 12 attacks. Okay? 12 attacks at once. That is crazy. And it fires, even though it's a precision rifle and it's super accurate, it fires kind of like a shotgun, where you can just kind of generally aim at the enemy and you're going to hit the enemy. It's so good in that regard. So I love this thing. Now, it doesn't do nearly as much damage as some other weapons, but it still basically one-shots everybody. So does it really matter? It doesn't really matter, honestly. Now, let's actually talk about the mods on it, because, this is my main weapon. This is the weapon I recommend. This is the scope I like on it, this grandstand. And something about mods, by the way, is, at least right now, you cannot stack the purple mods. Like, you can't have, multiple crunch purple mods. So, what you can do is you can have one purple, and then you have two blues. So, that's what I would recommend. And then I use this packs mod to make it non-lethal. That way, everything I'm doing is non-lethal. If I'm using my quick hacks, it's non-lethal. If I'm shooting my gun, it's non-lethal. So my whole build is non-lethal. Now this other gun, this is the breakthrough. And I know a lot of people talk about this gun. This is a great gun. But I don't like it that much. Now the reason why I don't like it is because when you charge it up, it shakes so bad. It makes it so much harder to actually aim because it's shaking so bad. But this thing can hit hard. I have gotten 1.8, 1.9, maybe 2 million with this build. And this build is not focused on sniping. If you have a build that's got reflexes and you got all the great rifle perks and the sniper perks, this thing can hit really hard. Once again, you want to get a high charge multiplier, and the headshot multiplier matters, but this is a weird gun. It is weird, guys, because I have crafted this multiple times, and I've tried it before where I don't have any crit chance on it. Now, because here's the thing, you don't need crit chance. My general crit chance is really high. And then I have a bunch of bonus crit chance with tech weapons. So I have 100% crit chance all the time. I don't need it on the weapon itself. And by the way, if you don't know this, the thing is, when it comes to your weapon stats and your general stats, you need to combine them together. So an example would be this weapon has 220% crit damage. If I look at my general stats, I have 215%. So I can combine them together, and then I have 400% crit damage. So that's how that works, if you were wondering. What was really weird about this weapon is that I have crafted it where I don't have any crit chance. I have a higher headshot damage multiplier. I have the same charge multiplier. I have the same crit damage. And every shot I fire is a crit. But guess what? It hits for way less damage. Something's wrong with this weapon. It's glitched out. But so far, this has been my best roll I've had. I don't like it though, like I said, just because when you charge it up, I think it shakes too much. It just does. It's harder to aim. I have the Quasar on. Honestly, I don't really use it. But it is a really, really good tech pistol. It's so amazing, actually. This is one of my favorite guns in the entire game. So if you're using a pistol build, this thing is amazing in general. And for this build, it's good too. I mean, this thing hits, for my build, which is not focused on it at all. It hits for 700,000 with a headshot. It is crazy good. And this is definitely a really good roll for it. Now, something I want to point out is my armor stat. My armor stat is 4,668. That is crazy good. Now remember, with Cold Blood, it will double it. So we will get 8,200. And I pretty much become almost invincible at that point. So here's the thing. When it comes to your armor selection, what you're going to use whatever you think looks cool. That's what I say. Just go for fashion. You don't need a helmet. You just don't. Now, the thing is that, I'll give you an example. I'm using this Netrunner info visor. I am using some legendaries because you can get more mod slots with legendaries. But if you want to use epics because they look better to you, use epics. It's fine. It's totally okay. Because what you can do is you can actually stack some of these armor mods. Now, the thing is that you cannot stack these if they're the same. That's what I've noticed. So an example, this is a 241. I believe this is the max you can get. Can't get higher than this. And this is level 50, by the way. And you can use one of this, but you can't use two 241s. So instead, you can use another one if it has a different value. So this one has 239, and it stacks. Same with this one. This one stacks too, and it has 236. Now, if you actually take a look, at these, it's all the same, you know? And this just ups my armor by a lot. So that's the thing. Like, you don't need to worry about looking ugly if you can get your hands on some of these armor mods. Now, right now, it's fine for the most part because you can duplicate. So, like, you get the blue one, you duplicate it. You get the purple one, you duplicate it. You get a green one, you duplicate it. And then you just throw them in your armor, and you can look cool your entire playthrough. My first playthrough, I looked like an idiot most of the time because I was just kind of going for the best stats, the most mod slots. Now, another thing I have to point out, because a lot of people don't like realize this or know this, but when it comes to these legendary mods, this is something I've, found out myself. But basically, these do not stack at all. You can use one of each. So you can get the 30% crit damage, and you can get the 15% crit chance. Now, in the future, maybe these might stack. They might actually work. But I just want to point that out. Now, another thing is, and I have duplicated a lot of this, if you're wondering, obviously. Another thing is Deadeye. Deadeye is actually, like, bugged. It doesn't work at all. If I could have this, I would be, like, so much better. Like, I would honestly be way stronger. My crit chance would be 100% all the time, basically, for my quick hacks. But right now, Deadeye, it doesn't work, so don't even bother putting it in your armor. It doesn't work at all. And that's the same with this Predator one. This Predator one could be good too, because this does like 25% more damage against high threat and moderate threat enemies. This thing would be awesome, but, doesn't work. So at least right now, don't bother with it. And yeah, that's basically it. Like, that's what you want to do. You just want to find armor that you think looks nice. Now, because of this, like, shirt I have on, like, it covers up, like, my Netrunner suit, but I have 4 slots in this suit, so that's great. I like the visor just because, to me, it kind of fits, like, the build, because I'm always hacking, and I'm scanning, and I just think, like, the visor kind of plays into that. But the rest of this armor, like I said, I just like it because of the way it looks. So I just use it for that. And there you go, guys. That's pretty much it when it comes to this build. I definitely, think this build is amazing. There's no doubt. And what's great as well is that this is going to be a very good, legit build. When there are no more exploits, if they patch everything, this will absolutely still destroy with a legit build. It should be easy to get together with a legit build, just because you can make money if you want with Breach Protocol. You can easily get all the components you need for your crafting of your quick hacks through Breach Protocol. And if you just kind of focus on 1 or 2 weapons, you can easily just craft them up. And there you go. Like I said, the Widowmaker is amazing. Like, it is an amazing, amazing rifle. Really easy to use. And it can just destroy everything. Alrighty, guys. Well, I really do hope that you have enjoyed this video and that it has helped. If it has, will you please like the video for me? It definitely helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. And also, be sure to subscribe for future Cyberpunk videos. And if you do subscribe, click the bell. That way you can stay notified. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day. And peace out.